twine vocal cord, timorous glance from mine to yours. Make me a melody I mutter mousily. Speak your prose with none to please. Weigh your elbows on my knees, as uttered several times before. Rhyme with your truth and metaphor swore. To be drawn to you is a kindness, steadily strumming just to remind us. Give me a word, hearken. Perfect, hearken, hearken for a while. Hearken, hearken for a while. We could sway above the meadows as our riddles rest beneath, as our verses hide away. We could say, let it be. Does your heart too whistle a wonder if the past is wet with the future? Is there now a chance or a passage only to be walked upon? And if that is what they are after, solely to foretell or to remember, it is us who are left above betting, borrowing breath followed not by an ending. La da da da, la da da da, la da da da. Forget your voice, forget your mind. But when they find a way to wander, we will let it all. Hearken, hearken for a while. Hearken, hearken for a while. We could sway above the meadows as our riddles rest beneath. I will listen, I will listen, I will let it be. I will da 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 Hearken, hearken, oh hearken, 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 hearken for a while. Hearken, hearken for a while.
Hello! I know I started stream early, so I'm just gonna chill for a few minutes. I was just very paranoid about it not working, but so far, everything on my end looks fine. Please let me know if anything looks wrong with reference to hi Akashika Chap, how you doing? I hope you're doing good. With like lagging or mic, etc. because I think it should be okay. I'm still not quite sure what was wrong last time. I think it was a series of things happening one after another. But I have been trying to look at things that might help, and I might try and get different internet because that might help. Because I did one of those online internet tests and it's not going to where it's supposed to. So yeah, how's everyone? Yay! I'm glad everything is okay. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to streaming. I love doing these streams so much. Hello Ghost, how you doing? Good to see you. And I was like, I didn't work last time. It really stressed me out. So yeah, it's been a good day. I'm really loving reading Vol 6. It's going to be so weird tonight, switching from Volume 6 back to reading Volume 1 again. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be good. I'm very, very excited. I've started cutting out the pattern pieces for the Li Jinglong cosplay I'm going to make, which is really exciting. I've been wanting to do this cosplay for a while now. And it's nice to be slowly edging towards it. It's going to be a massive learning curve because I have never used a pattern before, ever. So it should be fun. It should be fun. We didn't get very far last time with the streaming, with the reading even, but after the whole everyone getting dosed with oblivion pollen debacle, they decided what they needed to do was go and investigate the poetess pavilion, or more specifically the corpse under the bed at night time, and all had a rest, which marks the start of their messed up sleep schedules, and then headed out at night with Atai and Chu Yongsa providing the distraction by going in to the brothel where they are regulars, and Atai playing his magical hypnotic music, which honestly I feel like I need there to be more attention on the fact that Atai can just hypnotize people. I don't feel like that is used enough. I feel like we need to talk about that more. But anyway, Chuyongsoo had stuff stuffed in his ears, and there was a awkward exchange between Hongjun and Li Jinglong, where Hongjun badgered Li Jinglong into explaining what happens in these establishments and why Jinglong doesn't like them. While Mugen tried to stand guard, and then they have gone into the room and lifted the bed and tried to uncover the corpse, and Li Jinglong has come prepared this time, donning a pair of black silk gloves. I also need to see art of that. Someone draw Jinglong with black silk gloves. Like, hello? Why is that not a thing? It is now 17 past, so I have no longer started streaming early. I am... It's so weird. I don't know if anyone knows. Yeah, so when I'm streaming, my desk is this way. I'm side on to my desk, which is a rather odd way to stream. But it means that I'm not having to like clear up everything behind here. I just have my one aesthetic wall. Atai and Chu Yongsa being instruction by being hot. Yes, ghost. Classic distraction tactics. So everyone is sitting comfortably, and again, just to reiterate, on my side so far there's nothing showing that anything is going wrong, but if there's anything on anyone else's end that suggests that there is, give me a shout or type a message in chat is probably the best way to reach me, to inform me of the fact, because I will try and keep an eye on things, but sometimes you guys know before I do, mainly because I've got distracted reading the book. So, yeah, hope everyone is sitting comfortably. Shall we begin with the story again? I forgot about that bit that I just struggled to read. Hongjun hauled the desiccated corpse out from beneath the bed, and Li Jinglong set the frame back down. This time he had come prepared. Donning a pair of black silk gloves, he showed no sign of fear as he unwound the makeshift shroud and began to inspect the body. Hongjun looked on, half hidden behind him in horror. Male, 30 to 40 years of age. Look at his clothes. He doesn't seem like a merchant or a government official. Perhaps he's a scholar who came to the capital for the imperial examination. Hongjun? I'm too scared to look. The corpse had blackened in death, and its mouth yawned open, gums pulled back over white teeth. Li Jinglong had stripped it of its clothes, and under the unforgiving glare of the lamps, the shriveled corpse was so unspeakably disgusting, Hongjun's hair stood on end. Yeah, that is kind of terrifying. It's kind of a terrifying first case. It's like, yes, desiccated corpses that are naked under lamplight, apparently. Great start, Department of Demonic Exorcism. Great going, guys. Don't be scared, Li Jinglong said. It's not like it'll jump out and eat you. Now look, what kind of Yao sucked him dry of both blood and essence? This can't possibly be the result of natural decomposition. Could the monster who did it be the owner of this room? Struck by inspiration, Hongjun began to dig through the cabinets and drawers beside the bed. Don't move anything around. They'll notice, Li Jinglong warned. Engrossed in his search, Hongjun called over his shoulder. If it's a monster, it'll have some spiritual devices or malign artifacts nearby. But there's nothing here. Li Jinglong considered this as Atai's song continued downstairs. Are you still not done? Mergen called from outside. After rummaging through most of the room, Hongjun rendered his verdict. There are no Yogwai living in this room. Let me ask you something, Li Jinglong said. Can you sense any Yao energy right now? Hongjun shook his head. Li Jinglong thought for a moment. The Yao must be in the building. As things stand, our only option is to take a risk. Hongjun, lend me your grappling hook. You and Mergen go stand on opposite sides of the floor and keep a close eye on the crowd in the parlor downstairs. Be ready to throw your knives at any moment. I only have 3 left. Leave it to me. I'll make sure you get them all back. In the parlor of the poetess's pavilion, Atai's melody unspooled with all the urgency of drifting clouds and flowing water as his song reached its intoxicating climax. The music swelled like a nimbus cloud pushed by the wind to swallow the moon, like countless leaves swirling through the air to cover heaven and earth. In this roaring tempest, I continue my search. A withered corpse with a grappling hook around its neck fell from above with a loud crash. Hello, cute smile. Good to see you. I love that. Again, another moment that sums up one of my favorite styles of comedy, which is just immediate contrast. You have a beautiful quote that I don't feel like I have heard talked about enough, which is all the urgency of drifting clouds and flowing water as his song reached its intoxicating climax. The music swelled like a nimbus cloud pushed by the wind to swallow the moon, like countless leaves swirling through the air to cover heaven and earth. Like, damn! What a beautiful scene! A withered corpse with a grappling hook around its neck fell from above with a loud crash. Talk about contrast. I don't know, that's just inherently funny to me that it's like we're going from this beautiful melody to, and I think the fact that there isn't any kind of indication there is about to be this change. My earring just fell out. Hold on a second. It just kind of, I'm not putting my earring back in, it just kind of happens. And I love that. It's perfect to me. Anyway, back to the loud crash. Caught entirely off guard, Chuyongs and Atai jumped in surprise. The music came to an abrupt halt as Atai instinctively glanced upward in confusion. The crowd in the parlor stared vacantly at the dead body for a handful of breaths before bursting into horrified screaming. The procuress screeched wildly as the customers began to flee in panic. Chaos overtook the building. Shrieks filled the air as several young women fainted away on the spot. Li Jinglong, Hongjun, and Mergen had never taken their eyes off the crowd as they watched from 3 different angles on the 2nd floor. Now, they marked a young woman in the corner of the room. While everyone ran about in panic, she stepped back and her face took on a sharp edge. 2 more girls in opposite corners started in surprise, turning away from their clients to glance at the first woman. As one, all 3 looked up toward Jinyun's room. 3 throwing knives sliced through the air faster than anyone could blink. Though they had yet to realize their cover had been blown, the women sensed the danger. With a wave of their hands and a flick of their exquisite silk sleeves, streams of purple light shot out in defense, but the throwing knives were immune. Blazing with fire, the blades plunged into each of the women's shoulders. "Follow the knives!" Li Jinglong shouted. "Don't let them get away!" Li Jinglong vaulted over the balustrade, dropping through the air to land on the parlor floor. The entire building had long since descended into pandemonium. Atai gathered up his barbat before charging out of the brothel with Chuyongsa in tow. On the 2nd floor above them, Mergen pushed off the railing and took off in pursuit. Pinned with the knife, the woman standing nearest the main entrance cried out in pain. All 3 grabbed at the blades embedded in their shoulders. screaming wildly in agony as the hilts belled their hands. Realizing they had run foul of a fearsome foe, the women dared not stay and fight. They turned tail and ran. Just before bounding out the window, the first woman, whose level of cultivation appeared highest among them, turned and shot a stream of fire from her fingertips. "Hongjun, look out!" Li Jinglong called. Hongjun had just jumped from the second floor and was still airborne. He jerked his head to the side as the fire hurled past him. The woman wasn't targeting him, but the corpse hanging from the railing. The body burst into flames, turning to ash in an instant. Another woman had made it to the front doors. Mergen, who had used his shoulder to smash through the second-story window, nimbly drew his bow and unleashed 3 arrows in rapid succession before his feet hit the ground. As the target dashed through the door, she couldn't resist slowing to look back at her pursuers. It was her fatal mistake. The moment she glanced backward, Mergen's first arrow pierced her through the neck. With a humming sound and a flash of white light, the woman disappeared. In her place was a brown-furred, blue-eyed fox with 3 tails, its mouth gaping open as blood ran from its neck. 2 more arrows followed right behind, one striking the creature's abdomen, one its leg, killing it instantly. "Don't use excessive force," Li Jinglong bellowed. "This is your only warning. Where did the other 2 go?" Mergen landed, and with a wave of his hand, his arrows tore themselves from the 3-tailed fox's body, splattering blood everywhere as they whistled back to their master. "I didn't mean to shoot it in the neck," Mergen called back, pleading his innocence. Hongjun emerged from the building a second after the fox. Behind him, in the poetess' pavilion, shock had turned into mayhem as people shoved at each other, trying to escape, trampling any who fell underfoot. "They're foxes," Hongjun asked in shock. He beckoned, and his throwing knife returned to his hand. "Fox Yao," Li Jinglong corrected. "Where are your other 2 knives? Quick!" "They're—" Hongjun looked around. "They're in the alleyway." "Where's Jiao Zilong?" Li Jinglong demanded. "Move it. How are you all so bad at teamwork?" I'm coming, the carp yell huffed as he ran over, his tail swishing behind him and a silk brocade pouch in his hands. Li Jinglong punted the carp yao straight through the doors into the building before turning to pursue the fox yao with Hongjun and Mergen close behind. Jiao Zilong gets thrown around a lot in this series. It's like, we're in danger. Yeet the fish! Ah. Oh, that's so funny, Ghost. I love that. Hongjun is not great at keeping secrets. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Q Smile. Yes, so right. Most of them have never heard of stairs. Like normal people. Use balustrades instead, and probably windows too. Just yeet out the window. Yeah, okay, now I'm just imagining like citizens of Chang'an and just seeing people just like doing random parkour and they're like, oh, guess it's the Exorcist again. Know who that is. Eat the fish. Yeah, literally. I need someone who knows more about D&D than I do to like do D&D related videos on Legend of Exorcism, because it's just a D&D campaign. It's just a D&D campaign. It's just a homebrew D&D campaign, and I love it. My stream is still showing that everything ought to be fine, but again, please let me know. I feel like I'm messing up more words than normal tonight as well, so sorry about that. Wandering Ghost. So in conclusion, they can't do anything normally. Yep, literally. They aren't capable of being normal in any way. Well, they have some pretty cute domestic scenes sometimes actually, so get that. Anyway, we are now on to chapter 16. Late Night Fox Hunt. Atai and Chu Yongsa had raced out the door in hot pursuit of the remaining 2 women. Their quarry split up at the boundary of Pinkang Ward, transforming into their fox forms in the East Market. One disappeared into the shadows of the market stalls, while the other sprang to the rooftops and fled southward, disappearing into the darkness like an arrow on a moonless night. The two young men skidded to a halt just outside an alleyway as Li Junlong, Hongjun, and Mergen caught up. Before either of them could speak, Li Junlong gave orders. You two, chase the one on the roofs. We'll hit the one on the ground. Go! Without another word, Atai and Chuyongsa leapt up to the rooftops. There you go, random leaping. As Li Junlong, Hongjun, and Mergen plunged into the depths of the closed-down market. The guests were still trembling in fright as the carp yao scurried into the poetess' pavilion. One patron cried, "Someone alert the Longwu guard!" The carp yao threaded its way through the crowd, yelling, "Ephemeral as passing clouds!" He scooped a handful of oblivion pollen from his brocade pouch and tossed it into the air, setting off a deafening chorus of sneezes. Achoo! All phenomena are mere fabrications. The carp yao hopped onto a table on the dais in the middle of the parlor and tossed out even more pollen. Achoo! He skidded up to the third floor, tugged open his brocade pouch, and scattered the remaining pollen down over the crowd. A lifetime away. Achoo! Achoo! Eat, drink, and make merry. I'll be on my way. With this, the carp yao dove out the window to reconvene with Hongjun and the others. See, he even does diving out windows on his own accord. The East Market was silent, so dark one's own outstretched hand disappeared into the shadows. Do you sense any Yao energy now? Li Junlong whispered. It's faint. I can barely sense it, Hongjun replied softly. He pointed. But I saw a flash of light over there just now. Mergen stared into the darkness. Can you see it? Li Junlong asked. Mergen frowned. I can't, it's too dark. The Shiwei tribesman had excellent eyesight and carried a set of 7 nail-head arrows forged from the finest steel, each one covered with charmed inscriptions. In the open desert or wide grassy plains, he could shoot down any bird in flight. Unfortunately, no matter how keen his eyes, they were useless in the unrelieved darkness of the market. Or maybe it was over there. Hongjun turned in a different direction, an uncertain look on his face. Chief, Mergen patted Li Junlong's arm. Your sword, it's glowing. Li Junlong drew his sword and pointed it toward where Hongjun had indicated. To Hongjun and Mergen's surprise, the script carved into the blade lit up with a faint glow. He turned the sword in a different direction. The blade glowed brighter, then dimmed. What does that mean? Hongjun asked in wonder. Either the sword can sense Yao energy, Li Junlong said, or it can sense your throwing knife. He began to sweep the blade left and right, the sword glowing and dimming with his movements. Next, he moved it in a slow arc. The blade settled into a steady glow. That's just really funny for me, just being like, where is it? I don't know, it reminds me of like when you're either trying to find where you are on a compass or trying to find signal when you've got bad signal on your phone and you're just like, where are you? I don't know. It's just, it's a funny picture to me. Next, he moved it in a slow arc. The blade settled into a steady glow. The fox is running circles around us, Li Junlong said. It's trying to throw us off the scent by taking a circuitous route out of the East Market. Cut it off. Foxes were crafty creatures at any time, to say nothing of one that cultivated into a Yao. Afraid any hesitation would allow it to escape, taking another one of Hongjun's throwing knives with it. Li Junlong ordered Mergen and Hongjun to show no mercy. They were to capture the creature, dead or alive. The exorcists scattered, closing in on the fox from 3 different directions. I see Chongming. How has Chongming found his way into the chat? I need to know, so I'm scrolling up in the chat. Cute smile. Atai, I know a shortcut. Proceeds yeeting himself out of the nearest window, lol. Yep. Oh, they don't worry about mortal things. Li Junlong must be just, I need a list of like, I need Li Junlong's journal of the things that really just surprised him about The Exorcist. Ooh, cute smile. I think I wrote a drabble once where Chongming visits Chang'an and sees a group of men darting rooftops like a gym parkour. That's amazing. Akashika Chap, I want to count how many times people sneeze in the vol. Yeah, that would be fun. Take a shot every time someone sneezes. Or don't. What would the Legend of Exorcism bingo be? Anytime someone sneezes, anytime okay, Gaga doesn't happen that much, actually. For how much of a bigger thing it is. Take a shot no, wait, bingo. That's what I was saying. Anytime someone jumps out a window, anytime Li Jinglong's luck is abysmal, anytime something goes right over Hong Jun's head and he is confused. What else would there be? I need to know. I need to make this now. Yep. Parkour! Parkour! Chongming doing parkour would be very cool, Ghost. I agree. Cute smile. Leading along. It means there are 3 gay men near. I mean, 3 Fox Yao nearby. Yes. Wait, no, the Sword of Wisdom is just a gaydar. Just starts pointing back at them. It's like, he diagnose you gay. Yep, take a shot, anyone. Take a shot anytime someone mentions Chongming in this chat. Yep. Oh my gosh. Okay. I shall continue the reading. Where are we? Ah, back at the other guys. Atai panted as he and Chuyong sprinted across the rooftops. Oh! Sorry, I got sidetracked. Chuyong, you go ahead. Let me catch my breath. But I'm really shadowing you, Chuyong said, perplexed. I said I wouldn't be capturing any Yao. Speechless, Atai pushed himself to keep running. Why does our chief keep changing the plan? We never discussed any of this ahead of time. Atai's like, I didn't do enough training to run, guys. Cheongsa laughed. Lending Atai a hand as they leapt across the gap between the eaves, he said, Actually, this Lee guy is quite clever. Meticulous attention to detail isn't enough. There's no such thing as a foolproof plan. When all else fails, you might as well shake things up. It's not like our investigation until now have yielded any results. Tossing that dried corpse into the parlor to catch the Fox Yao off guard finally made them show their tails. But now whoever they answer to will be on alert. Atai was breathing hard. It'll make things harder in the long run. That's not your problem, Cheonks replied, laughing again. Maybe he had a backup plan all along. I doubt it, Atai remarked. Ah, it's over there. Quick, after it. I feel like their voices just merged together completely there, sorry about that. The throwing knife flashed up ahead, and the two of them set off in pursuit. Down below, the fox with the knife through its shoulder stumbled, its steps coming slower and slower. The creature had taken a wide arc through the east market. Mug and Hongjun, having quietly circled round to cut off its escape, prepared to attack on Li Jinglong's signal. As if sensing the impending danger, the fox sniffed the air and came to a stop. Without warning, Li Jinglong charged out of the darkness and silently swung his sword. Darting back, the fox gave a hoarse shriek. The fox gave a hoarse shriek as a cloud of smoke billowed from its mouth. An arrow cut through the air and disappeared into the smoke. Cornered, the fox Yao transformed with a bright flash, and the Vulpine's scream of fury was replaced with a woman's cry. Shameless mortals! This goes too far! What have I ever done to you? Murderers must pay with their lives! Li Jinglong's voice was cold. Chang'an is not your hunting ground. When the fox charged out from the smoke, it had grown to 10 feet in height. Unsheathing its sharp claws, it lunged toward Li Jinglong. Li Jinglong brought up his sword, yet one swipe of the fox's paw knocked it to the ground with a resounding clang. He'd had no idea Fox Yao could grow to such a size. The insolent creature wasn't fleeing, but luring them out here to finish them off. Another of Mergen's arrows buried itself in the fox's shoulder, but the Fox Yao, the same who'd set fire to the corpse in the poetess' pavilion, had reached an advanced stage of cultivation. He had no fear of his 7 nail-head arrows. Eyes glowing blood red, the fox Yao breathed a column of flame. Just as Li Jinglong was about to be burned to a crisp, Hongjun somersaulted in front of him, throwing out his sacred light to shield them both. The fox Yao screamed in pain as its face was burned by its own deflected flame. The flames went out, and the fox Yao careened into a market stall, toppling it with a crash that echoed in the silence. Li Jinglong threw his arms around Hongjun, rolling them away from the falling stand. Ducking low, Mergen rushed over. "Chief! I'll distract it. Aim for its heart." With that, Li Jinglong strode calmly toward the Yao. Hongjun and Mergen peeked out from behind a pile of rubble. The fox Yao staggered to its feet, Mergen's arrow and Hongjun's throwing knife both protruding from its shoulder. It appeared to be reaching the end of its strength. Fearing it would breathe fire again, Hongjun readied his final throwing knife in his right hand, his left beginning to glow with sacred light. Mergen gave Hongjun a quick pat on the shoulder and tiptoed away. The fox Yao panted, staring Li Jinglong down. Hongjun's nerves were stretched to the breaking point, but Li Jinglong appeared utterly unafraid. He advanced with sword in hand. "Evil creature," he said coldly, "Grey Tang's Department of Demonic Exorcism may have lain dormant for half a century, but so long as the sword is here, Chang'an will never be yours." Li Jinglong raised his blade to point at the fox Yao, and the knife embedded in the fox's shoulder flared with light in answer. Perched atop a pile of wood at the other end of the East Market, Mergen knocked an arrow and drew his bow. Hongjun's palm was slick with sweat as he tightened his grip around his final throwing knife. "You think you're strong," the fox Yao sneered. "Well, there's no harm in telling you. Chang'an no longer belongs to humankind. Just you wait." Li Jinglong started in surprise, but before he could reply, the fox Yao bared its fangs and threw itself at him. Claws that could gut a man in a single swipe, glinting in the scant illumination of the moonless night. Li Jinglong swung his sword in a feint before springing backward. A patrol from the Longwu Guard chose this moment to arrive, their presence announced by the ringing of hooves on stone. Their commanding officer yelled, "Who's causing this ruckus in the middle of the night?" Mergen let down his bow as Hongjun's head snapped around. In the instant Li Jinglong dodged, the fox Yao seized its chance and rushed toward the Longwu Guard soldiers. "Run!" Li Jinglong bellowed. The Longwu Guards thought they must be dreaming as the giant fox lunged toward them. The fox Yao was on them before they could recover from the shock, bowling over soldiers and horses alike. Close on its tail, Li Jinglong sprung onto the fox's back and thrust the point of his sword into the base of its neck. Why did it decide to, leave the exorcists and go for a bunch of random soldiers? I mean, I'm sure there's a tactical reason. It's just interesting to me. The horses whinnied and shied back as the soldiers tripped and fell in the dark. Li Jinglong yelled again, "Run! Now!" At last the soldiers scrambled to their feet and began to flee. The fox Yao let out a furious roar and tossed its head, hurling Li Jinglong to the ground. Hongjun's throwing knife was ready in his hand, but he couldn't get a clean shot, afraid to injure Li Jinglong. As the fox raised its claws to strike again, Hongjun tugged the jade peacock feather from his belt, infused it with spiritual energy, and sent it skidding across the ground. "Don't worry about me," Li Jinglong shouted. Leaving his sword buried in the fox Yao's neck, he grabbed one of the guard's spears, but he'd hardly raised it when a single strike from the fox Yao's claws split the mortal weapon in two. Just as those claws were about to spill Li Jinglong's guts, the peacock feather landed at Li Jinglong's feet with a burst of sacred light and blocked the fox Yao's blow with a bright clang. That's useful to have. Maybe he should worry about you, Li Jinglong, and then getting yourself killed twice. Oh. Oh, I love how you've got to talk about his egg. Oh my gosh. Oh, Oh my gosh, I need to see all of the Yao Kings with Yajin Palace, either with an egg or um with baby Hongjun like in baby carriers. Oh my gosh, Ghost, that's an amazing idea. I'm just like, you know how you can use like those like really stretchy scarves to like tie the baby to you? Like one of those. Like I don't know, I feel like you could create that into like some kind of fashion statement. They would create it into some kind of fashion statement. uh yes, cute smile. Li Jinglong is not a very experienced chief. I just read the beginning of the message of not enough preparations beforehand either, and my brain went to things later in the book. Anyway. Yeah, just headcanons. Just people thinking about if Chongming could lay eggs. Or I don't know. Is Mpreg canon bird preg? Who knows? Ooh. I mean, it could be real. Who knows? Fatian, get on that. Oh my gosh, you're currently sketching the guy and his egg ghost. That's amazing. I cannot wait to hopefully see. Like a Sheikah chap says, imagine being a Chang'an citizen, waking up at night and seeing a big wolf and fox fighting. That'd be a pretty crazy thing. Oh, I need the newspaper articles. Wait, do they have newspapers? Probably not. I've just, what on earth is happening? Forget the newspaper articles. I need those two random NPCs who wrote poetry about Li Jinglong jumping out of the brothel window. I need them to write their opinions on all of this. I need their rhymes to be covering all of the Exorcist-based drama happening in this city. Oh yeah, okay. Giles Long spends the entire night just sleeping through the city with this pollen. Oh. Okay. Shall we continue? Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Just as those claws were about to spill Li Jinglong's guts, the peacock feather landed at Li Jinglong's feet with a burst of sacred light and blocked the fox Yao's blow with a bright clang. Ignite! Hongjun yelled as he released the furring knife. Li Jinglong bent backward and out of the way, but the fox Yao was prepared for Hongjun's attack. It turned on the spot, allowing the knife to plunge into its stomach, and charged toward Hongjun. Li Jinglong ran to help Hongjun as the youth ducked and dodged. He had no spiritual devices left. If he was struck now, he was sure to be badly wounded. Crashing into Hongjun, Li Jinglong shoved him to the ground, narrowly avoiding the fox Yao's attack. A howl split the air as an enormous grey wolf appeared on a rooftop at the other end of the market. The beast was as tall as a man, though still much smaller than the fox Yao. Leaping down, it clamped its jaws around the fox Yao's throat, lupine teeth digging into flesh. Where did the wolf come from? Hongjun was shocked. Now! Li Jinglong shouted. Snapping back to his senses, Hongjun pointed 2 fingers of each hand to form sword seals and swiped them through the air. His 2 throwing knives tore free, trailing twin arcs of the fox Yao's blood as they returned to his fingertips. Gripping a throwing knife in each hand, Hongjun flung them simultaneously as the fox Yao sailed overhead. Strike! Both blades flashed with light, one covered in frost and the other crackling with flame. They whipped past Li Jinglong, sending his hair fluttering, before piercing the fox Yao through the heart. Ice hissed and fire raged. The explosion that followed hollowed out the fox Yao's chest, leaving nothing but a scorched, gaping hole, rimmed with crystals of frost in its wake. The creature's body hung in midair as it spasmed in death. The bloody light in its eyes dimmed, and it quickly shrank until it was only a small fox, dangling limply from the giant wolf's jaws. The 2 throwing knives, an assortment of arrows, and the sword embedded in its flesh clattered to the ground, one by one. The giant wolf spat out the fox and looked steadily back at Hongjun and Li Jinglong. Mergen? Hongjun asked as Li Jinglong pulled him to his feet. The giant wolf huffed and bared its teeth, its lips pulled back as if in a smile. He's just a big dog. There we go. Want to see the big dog? There we go. There's the fox with sword in back. Hey, last time I checked, there was no moon. Continuity error spotted. Oh well, it looks epic enough. I do not mind that there is canonically no moon. We get to see a cool image of Mergen doing wolf stuff. We got the wolf boy. I love that. It was so well to me when I was reading it. It was just like the process of slowly realizing how like much there are ties to Yao within the department dedicated to defeating Yao is very, very fun to do. Oh, what the dog doing? The dog is killing foxes. Li Jinglong signaled Hongjun to leave it for later. He hurried over to check on the dazed Longwu guards who were beginning to rise cautiously to their feet. Commandant Li! Many of the soldiers in this patrol were in fact his former subordinates. Awe showed through the shock and fear on their faces as they greeted him, worlds apart from the way they had looked at him when he was still a member of the Longwu Guard. Li Jinglong asked after each man in turn, ensuring there were no casualties, before turning back to Hongjun. Where's the fish? Give them some oblivion pollen. Moments later, the Carpier finally showed up, dragging his brocade pouch behind him. We're out! The guards yelped in fright. Ah! A monster! Li Jinglong was briefly lost for words. 3,200 silver's worth! Use up all at once? He sputtered, his hard-earned composure slipping in an instant. The Carpier was quick to defend himself. You all inhaled nearly 3.5 taels last time. This was less than 1/10 of an ounce left in the bag. At the reminder of the early incident, Li Jinglong dropped the subject. The soldiers watched in stupefaction as Li Jinglong scolded a monster. Don't speak of what happened tonight to anyone but Captain Hu, Li Jinglong told them, resorting to a verbal warning in lieu of the depleted oblivion pollen. I'll submit a report to the Longwu Guard in person tomorrow. Tell your brothers in arms that if there's another disturbance tonight, no one is to investigate. The soldiers nodded, unsure whether his poor substitute for oblivion pollen would have any effect at all. Li Jinglong resolved to accept the stroke of misfortune and smooth things over as best as he could later on. Once the patrol departed, Li Jinglong turned back to Hongjun and the Great Wolf. Let's see you. Are you injured anywhere? Hongjun had scraped his elbow when he fell, but he and Mergen were otherwise unharmed. It had been the most intense battle Hongjun fought since leaving the mountain, and it took several moments for him to process everything and return to his senses. That's fair. A ball of flame rose into the sky like a firework. Rose into the air like a firework, some distance away. They got it, Li Jinglong said. Let's go. Ride on my back, Hongjun met. Ride on my back, Mergen said to Hongjun in his grey wolf form, seeing how tired he was. I'll carry you there. Hongjun clambered onto the grey wolf's back. He took off northward as Li Jinglong jogged along behind them. Li Jinglong has to run like the mortal he is. Mergen? Hongjun quietly asked. The grey wolf slowed and turned his head. Hongjun signaled him to continue running. Are you a Yao? Of a sort, the grey wolf replied. This ability hasn't appeared in my tribe for nearly a century. I don't know exactly what I am, either. Don't tell Atai and the others. The wolf seemed not to want Li Jinglong to overhear too much of their conversation. When they came to a courtyard, he bounded up the wall and leapt onto the rooftops. The dark clouds over Chang'an slowly parted to reveal a bright moon. Okay, I stand corrected. There is a moon. My lack of trust was very much misplaced. My apologies. Although the moon did show up later. Never mind. I'm glad it was there in the illustration. The grey wolf ran silently along the rooftops with the young man on his back. You won't arrest me, will you? The wolf asked. Hongjun laughed and leaned down to the wolf's ear. I'm half Yao too. The grey wolf flicked his ear, surprised. You don't seem like one. My dad was a... Shh, the wolf said. You don't need to tell me. My dad once said there isn't much difference between humans and Yao. The only real difference is between good and evil. Okay, I want to say a random spoiler here, so I'm just gonna put my hand up, and if anyone is not in the mood for like kind of like vague spoilers for like up to full 5, then just wait to put my hand up again. So I find it really interesting that Morgan quotes his dad here, because as far as I'm aware, and I feel like we might get more context on his family in Vol 6, which I'm reading now, but like from what we see of his family and his dad in the flashbacks in Vol 4 and Vol 5, his family isn't great. I have a lot of beef with them, and it seems like his dad's family kind of abused him. So why is he quoting his dad in this like I read it very much as like in this kind of philosophical way, and it felt really in contrast with what I had learned about his family then later, to be like, oh wait, hold on, because I was like assumed that he had like positive family. I don't know, like I think he becomes a real big brother to a lot of the department, and the context for that in my head, and I think in some quotes it's hinted at, is the fact that he has younger brothers, and it's like, oh okay, he's been an older brother to them, he's now being an older brother to the rest of the Department of Exorcism. It's like, nah, they didn't really accept him, and he probably really wanted to have younger brothers who did, and now he does, and my heart. So yeah, I find the quote really interesting. Okay, anyone who was waiting for me to do the comeback signal, come back. I'm done talking vague spoilers. Oh, okay. I'm gonna check the chat before I keep reading. The dog is aura farming. Oh my gosh, yes, cute smile. Where the fish? The dog is searching for his wife. Very true, Akashika chat. Yeet the fish. I need that on a t-shirt with like a image of Jao Salong. Yeah, I was thinking that ghost. Like, yeah, what was Hongjun's most intense battle in the mountains? Did he have them? Legion Long running after Morgan and Hongjun. Where's he going with my man? Yes, that meme is from you, cute smile. It's just so freaking funny. That's amazing. Nice ghost. Oh my gosh, I forgot that bit. That was some of Hongjin's more cursed medicinal knowledge. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading. Yeah, this is so much fun chatting as well. Okay. Speaking of wives, I mean, who said that? The wolf paused and looked around from his perch atop the roof ridge. Spotting dark traces of blood on the ground, he took off again to follow. Hongjun, the wolf asked, have you ever seen a glowing white deer? Hongjun hummed in thought. He had only ever lived in the Taihang Mountains. There were plenty of deer, but he had never seen a white deer like the one the wolf was describing. When Hongjun said so, the wolf fell silent again. My main goal in coming to Chang'an was to search for the white deer, the wolf said. If you could let me know if you come across any clues to its whereabouts. Even after transforming into a grey wolf, Mergen's leather belt, bow, and quiver were still strapped to his back. How do the physics of that work, man? It was difficult to balance on the back of a running wolf, and Hongjun had to grab the belt to avoid slipping off. Okay, I should have been just like reading that entire conversation while like awkwardly bumping up and down. As they approached the palace, another series of flashes lit up the sky in the distance. The grey wolf stopped to let Hongjun slide off his back, then slowly rose onto his hind legs and transformed back into the Mergen he knew. Hongjun peered behind them, looking for Legion Long, who'd commandeered a horse from who knew where and taken a shortcut to catch up. They're here, Chiongsa said, and Chiongsa and Atai, down at the same time, said as they huddled at the base of the palace wall. Where's my throwing knife? Hongjun asked. Atai pointed at the other side of the wall, the picture of innocence. We injured it with a fireball, but it fled into the Imperial Palace. Chiongsa said. I'm the one who injured it, Atai said. Chuzhong, you didn't do anything. We didn't dare barge in after it, Chiongsa explained. We didn't want to make more trouble for the chief, so we decided to wait for you to catch up. Li Junlong, arriving at the scene at last, jumped down from his horse. He listened in shock as they told him the Fox Yao had fled into the Imperial Palace. Li Junlong was about to expire from fury. All this and you still let it get away? It hasn't gotten away yet, protested Atai. Shall I go in and capture it for you now? Li Junlong frowned deeply. The fox could be anywhere in the vast grounds of Xingqing Palace. How could they find it? But when he cast a questioning glance at Atai and Chiongsa, the two merely smiled knowingly. Quickly catching on, Li Junlong gave them a sharp nod in response. The two Fox Yao had split up, one fleeing to the east market to lure the enemy away. The other had likely gone to seek reinforcements. Rather than dealing the creature a fatal blow, Atai and Chiongsa had tailed it to see where it would go. In that case, were there reinforcements? In that case, were there reinforcements other monsters lurking inside the Imperial Palace? But Hongjun's throwing knife was still embedded in the Fox Yao's flesh. Li Junlong was determined to fulfill his promise to retrieve it. As countless possibilities swirled through Li Junlong's head, a faint clinking sound in the distance caught his attention. It was a quiet night. No insects chirped this late in autumn, and no wind blew in Chang'an. The clink was crystal clear even from 100 paces away. The sound of a throwing knife striking glazed tile as the fox sped across the rooftops above the rear hall of Xingqing Palace. Li Junlong shushed Hongjun, who had just opened his mouth to speak, and listened with bated breath. He was rewarded with another sequence of scraping sounds. It hasn't gone far. It's on the roof of the rear hall, trying to pull out your knife, Li Junlong whispered. I can hear it. That doesn't change anything, Chiongsa shook his head. It'll run the moment we come near. Fox Yao are clever. We can't make a ruckus in the Imperial Palace. Li Junlong unslung his bow from his back. Everyone looked at him in shock. My arrowheads are forged from common steel. They can't kill Yao. Li Junlong turned to Mergen. Lend me one of yours. Mergen couldn't believe his ears, though he nevertheless handed him an arrow. You think you can hit it? Li Junlong carefully fit the arrow to his longbow in the dark. I can try. Hongjun had been playing with throwing knives since he was a child. He knew how difficult such a shot would be. Neither he nor any of the others could hear the sounds Li Junlong was describing. Even if he could, Hongjun would never be able to hit a target from 100 paces away by sound alone. Not on the first try. Li Junlong cocked his head, listening carefully to the far-off sounds. His mounted archery skills had been 1 in 100 in his youth. In those days, he had liked to boast that he was the flying General Li Guang's true successor. But he had suffered years of scorn and never had a chance to take to the battlefield. And since he refused to participate in frivolous displays of marksmanship to entertain lords and nobles like a circus monkey, he rarely had the chance to show off his abilities. Over time, people spoke less and less of his talents, and with no way to prove a connection to the famous Li clan of 800 years ago, his youthful boasting had become a joke to the citizens of Chang'an. Despite his calm exterior, he couldn't keep his hand from trembling ever so slightly as he took aim. On the rooftop of Xingqing Palace, the Fox Yao seemed to scent danger in the air. Gazing into the boundless darkness beyond the higher palace walls, it lifted its paw and began to slink away deeper into the palace complex. Let's head back, Hongjun whispered. We'll find it eventually, Chief. And I still have two more knives. It's no big deal. Li Junlong sucked in a deep breath and drew the bow. As he locked eyes with Hongjun, the crisp clink of metal on tile again reached his ears. He let the arrow fly. It pierced the air without a sound, sending withered leaves flying as it swept aside the curtain of willow boughs blocking its path over the palace walls. Streaking in a meteoric arc from the ground, it ended its 100-pace flight by silently striking the Fox Yao in the belly as blood sprayed into the night. Li Junlong listened carefully at the base of the wall, heard no cries of pain from the creature. He heaved a weary sigh and looked at Hongjun again, an apology in his eyes. It's been too long since I trained. I'm out of practice. Li Junlong frowned in vexation. He had a sudden urge to snap his bow in half. Just as everyone was about to comfort their chief and tell him he really had done very well, the fox's body rolled over the edge of the roof, landing in the pond with a small splash. He hit it! Mergen was astounded. He hit it, Hongjun said. I'll go take a look. He flung out his grappling hook and in the next breath had scaled the courtyard wall. Everyone else stared at Li Junlong in shock. Come back as soon as you find it, Li Junlong called. Hongjun jumped back over the wall in a moment later and tossed the third fox to the ground. The arrow had buried itself between the creature's ribs on its right side, and it was on the brink of death. Li Junlong sighed in relief and smiled. I promised I'd get your throwing knives back. The chief had never smiled in their presence before. Rather than lighten the mood, the atmosphere turned awkward as everyone looked at each other in turn. Atai and two youngsters were dumbfounded, still struggling to process everything that had transpired since nightfall. You look pretty nice when you smile, Chief. Hongjun grinned. You don't have to go around with that stern look on your face all the time, you know. Li Junlong coughed stiffly, his voice going cold once again. Let's go. We can continue the discussion back at headquarters. With that, he turned to lead the way. Everyone else is like, this is weird. Oh, hello! Hi, how you doing? Yeah, I love that. Everyone else is like, this is weird. And then Hongjun's like, damn, you're cute! I think when I was watching Kictor and Stitch's book club video on volume 1, Stitch referenced you ever seen a grown man smile? Now you have. It disturbs a lot of you when I show emotion or whatever the quote is. And that is literally that moment, and I love it so much. Okay, I'm gonna check chat. I want to do a bit more reading. We are about to start chapter 17, so I might do a bit more reading, but this, it's a 20-page chapter, so there's no way I'm gonna finish it tonight, but let me scroll up in chat and see what everyone's chatting about. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we get to see the chief being cool and then being oddly kind of pathetic. Yeah, he just wants to make people happy. Cute smile. Li Junlong writing his journal. Dear journal, I made a promise and I'm determined to keep it. That boy my wife's someday, so I have to make a good impression. Yeah, he's already like, that one. I need to impress that one specifically. He's being nice to me. They don't use roads. Yeah, that meme is very perfect with Lang Wonji as well. He's just, I don't know, I think like that's the thing about Li Junlong, I think is like, and I thought this when I kind of saw the pictures of him at first, is like, he reads as a slightly similar character to Lang Wonji, and like he's quite kind of like closed off, resting bitch face kind of vibe. But he's kind of not like that at all, which I kind of love, that the more you get to know him, the less that's how he reads. But it is mentioned several times that the way he just looks when he's just not presenting any emotion, he just looks like he's mad, which I kind of love. I don't know. His eyes are just dead, but he's fine. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna read a tiny bit more. I'm gonna do like 2 more pages, and then I'm gonna call it a night. I think we're gonna get another long June expedition somewhere. We've got to page 200. Woohoo! Chapter 17. Leaving the bait. Come with me, but don't say anything. Li Junlong instructed Hongjun as he woke him early the next morning. Autumn was on the cusp of turning to winter, and the maple tree in the main courtyard had turned crimson. though the parasol tree was still verdant. Red and green leaves formed a vivid contrast, which, along with the blue sky and white clouds reflected in the pond, combined to paint a colourful scene. 3 foxes, 2 dead and 1 heavily injured, were laid out in a row in the courtyard. The surviving fox appeared to also be the youngest. It had a gash in its shoulder from Hongjun's throwing knife, and Atai's fire had charred the fur and skin of its leg, which was now cracking to show bloody flesh underneath. Li Jinglong's final shot had nearly dealt the fatal blow, impaling the fox through the chest. Magan's arrows were barbed. They had to tug the arrow all the way through. Oh God, that poor fox! Fletching and all to extract it, leaving the creature howling in pain. I bet that's grisly, man. It was only thanks to the medicine Hongjun brought from Niaojin Palace that the little fox had survived this long. I feel so bad for this fox. Like, come on. This one's cultivation was most advanced. Chiongsa, pacing through the courtyard, pointed at the larger of the 2 dead foxes. Magan killed this one outside the door, so it's difficult to determine its strength. The one that survived is the greenest. The little fox had its eyes tightly shut, unmoving where it lay. Shall I deliver you to Captain Hu and let him see what you look like now, Jinyu? Li Jinglong examined the little fox. It hurts, doesn't it? The fox opened its eyes, but turned its head away. Jinyun, Tuying, Ziying. Li Jinglong tossed down a stack of papers, the contracts of the 3 girls who had disappeared from the poetess' pavilion the night before. Place of residence, Xingyang. Age, 16. Oh, they're so young. I hate that. They're 16. I mean, they're not actually, because they've cultivated for a while, right? Right? But still. I hate that. One of 3 girls from the same hometown who had come to Chang'an together to seek a new life for themselves. If you were just an enlightened creature of the natural world that had cultivated human form, holding only good in your heart, there would be no issue. At most, I would have driven you out of Chang'an. Li Jinglong paused, then sat down on the stairs to the open-air corridor, and looked the little fox in the eyes. Why did you have to commit murder? The little fox didn't answer. Who was the dead man under the bed? Li Jinglong's voice was cold. Speak. Silence. I'll find out whether you talk or not, Li Jinglong said, but I'll give you one last chance. Tell me who killed that man. Met again with silence, Chuyongsa said, maybe we should just kill it. After an extended pause, Li Jinglong said, let's close this case. Yongsa, write up a memorial. I'll submit it to Chancellor Young first thing tomorrow morning. We'll hand the creature over to Hu Sheng today. He must have received a report about what happened last night, and we owe him an explanation. We can let him take it from there. We'll head out shortly. Look up the fox for now. Magan secured the little fox in a cage and placed it in a side courtyard. Chuyongsa plastered the cage with talisman to keep it from escaping, though the measure was likely unnecessary. Even if the fox wished to flee, it clearly hadn't the strength. When everyone had recovered in the main courtyard, Atai frowned. Do you think it'll fall for it? Hongjun was mystified. You can talk now, Li Jinglong said to Hongjun. He was about to ask what Atai meant when Li Jinglong explained. Searching the entire Imperial Palace for a single Yao is like looking for a needle in a haystack. It's much easier to keep an eye on one fox in the care of the Longwu Guard. Hongjun finally understood. Li Jinglong was trying to trick the little fox by telling it the case was closed. His real objective was to draw out the Yao behind the scenes. You're trying to lure the snakes from their nest, exclaimed Hongjun. Everyone looked at Hongjun in awkward silence. Li Jinglong nodded. Smart, you've got it. Magan cut in. But what if no one comes to save it? Li Jinglong replied. Someone will come to save it for sure, or at the very least, they'll kill it to make sure it doesn't talk. Look, it's clever. It knows the only way to keep its life is to say nothing at all. Its companions must know it's clever too, but they won't let it live too long, or it might start to reveal their secrets. If Hu Sheng sets it free, that makes our job even easier. We would only have to follow it as it escapes. Hongjun didn't have the brains for all this scheming. Listening, he felt perhaps his companions were the real monsters. Fair. They're all so schemy. If you can pull it off, this will be a major case for sure, Chiyoungsa said. Let's get moving, Li Junlong said. Hopefully we can follow the vine all the way to the melon at the end. Interesting phrase. The way Atai, Mugen, and Chiyoungsa looked at Li Junlong this morning was particularly different from how they looked at him a few days ago, particularly after Li Junlong's display of marksmanship last night. Li Junlong rose to his feet, before the others could scramble up as well. He said, I'll return the count with Hongjun. You all should rest. I'll get some more Oblivion pollen, Chiyoungsa said with a smile. Li Junlong glanced at Chiyoungsa, then nodded. He instructed Hongjun to fetch the white cat. Page 208, chapter 17. That is where we are leaving it for tonight. Next time we'll have some fun outing shenanigans with Longjun as they go return a cat. And then some more scheminess. Oh, that was fun. Now I'm gonna check chat, see what y'all are yapping about. Do. Cute smile. His facial muscles don't know what it has to do, that's all. Yeah, he's just like, what am I supposed to be doing? Akashika chat. Don't worry, living with Hongjun will change that. Definitely. Man can't stop grinning. He's just... I love when we get Li Junlong being just happy and grinning like an idiot. It's the best. The Hongjun effect. I like that, Akashika chat. I feel like that is the same for all of his companions as well. They're all just like, oh, Hongjun's here. Everything's fine. The baby, I was gonna, is that kind of a spoiler? I don't know, the baby peacock, who is the only one with medical training, is here. Ooh, cute smile. Do they cultivate into a human, or do they have to kill one first before taking their identity? I don't know. I think that these... Okay, there we go. Q Cliff says, so what I gathered reading is that they have to have cultivated an identity form first, then they give an identity of someone who's already dead. Yeah, that makes sense. I read it and made a whole analysis on it a few weeks ago. I remember that seeing bits of that conversation in the Discord of just like, especially in relation to like a certain fox, yeah. Of like, hold on a second, is this his real appearance? Or that's really interesting. I just look down and the first thing I read is, hey, Tokarian Pretty Boy, the cat meow, having just woken up from his nap, was digging through fish food. Cat next to the pond for a snack. Oh, I love that. I forgot that. I forgot that Joust Long just refers to Atai as Pretty Boy. That's hilarious. Okay. That was so much fun, and touch wood, as far as I'm aware, no streaming problems. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't done much different except no one is watching TV in the other room, and I made sure that my PC is not trying to back up anything, and I think I set OBS to have priority, which is great. So I might try and get my Wi-Fi upgraded because I think it's not working as well as it's supposed to be, but we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this worked fine. And it will work fine in the future, because that stresses me out, because I enjoy this way too much. But I don't enjoy troubleshooting tech at all. Not my strong suit. So yeah. Thank you all for hanging out. It's been so much fun. I loved getting to see the gang in action, doing action-y things. And got to see the big wolf for the first time. Ooh, they need to be able to have a human form and also know how to use glamour. Good to know. Interesting and new. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna head off now. I will probably hopefully be streaming on Wednesday. Thank you for bringing the best vibes, as always. I hope everyone has a good evening, or night, or whatever time it happens to be when you are watching, listening, I don't know, reading subtitles. Oh my gosh, the subtitles. I bet the subtitles would have a I don't know. Whenever I look at YouTube auto-generated subtitles, they're always crazy. That was a tangent. Anyway, yeah. Thank you all for joining and hanging out. It's been super fun. Thank you to everyone who hung out and chat. It's been lovely chatting, and I'll see you all later. I'm just gonna wait a second for the stream to catch up before I actually press end on it, but